Hello, hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight? My name's Whelp Cakes, and we're here for round number 5 of the Sports Car Series at Long Beach. Glad to be here with everybody. In the booth with me, as always, is Mr. Fennicini. Fen, how are you doing today?
Good evening, Welp. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just ready for what is a very dark, spooky Long Beach multi-class race. I think this one's going to be tough on the boys.
I absolutely agree. I think it's going to be a little tougher, especially for those that have very specific brake markers that get lost in the nighttime. If it's something that you don't have easily available, even with the headlights, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for how Long Beach is usually run anywhere on the calendar in officials. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think I love Long Beach. I'm so glad it's back on the calendar. This is one that it's been a while since we've come back and done some multi-class racing here. This is actually where the legend of Ethan Hamlett was born. Me and Jaden were part of. I was doing commentary. Jaden was actually racing in a series of Box 3, the Simsa series, and they were doing GTPs, I believe, and Ethan did a no stopper. Was the only one to do a no stopper, and completely caught everybody out with like a fuel save trick. And boy, it's pretty good. World's best commentators from Apex Live. Thank you so much, everybody in chat. How are we doing?
Thank you.
Those are good compliments, man. We're kicking it off.
Well, good.
So yeah, Long Beach, a 90-minute no stop. Yeah, that's wild. Anyway, Finn, Long Beach. Tell me about your experience with Long Beach.
Much like I think most people, it's come across in a few of the places. IndyCar is where I've seen it the most, and probably raced it the most. But I've seen it as well in a couple other places. Raced it in a few leagues, including this one, and not raced it here this weekend, but I know a couple other leagues. So, not my most familiar track. I've not raced here a bunch, but I do enjoy a good Long Beach race. I love this race, all the narrow corridors that get made as a result. We just talked about this last week at Open Park. You're a big fan of it because of the lack of runoff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So the thing that I love about the old school road courses and street circuits is not a lot of room for error. There's no comfy safety net, no comfy runoff area for you to abuse. So we won't be seeing any F1 at COTA kind of shenanigans. Not in this race. But I don't know. I just like Long Beach. It's just a wonderful U.S. circuit, and I'm here to watch all of it. But Draconis in chat saying he won't be here tonight. He'll be back in 2 weeks. Speaking of 2 weeks, we'll be back for Rudskogen. That'll be interesting.
Yes.
That'll be November 9th. But yeah. The names are totally jacked up. I just realized that.
I wasn't sure if it was an artistic choice or if they were actually
No.
because I mean, like, it's not the worst thing to have to be. But well,
We're just gonna do the last names. I know.
There we go.
We can do this. We can do this and get away with this because I know that Anthony Newman will not be here this week, so we'll only have one Newman in the the U.S. Monaco, as GN mentioned. It's a good one. Let's get some. We've been watching a lot of Gabe out on track. I'm interested to see if we can get any of those GT4 runners. There's Tommy Kogan.
Sitting in third.
Yep, currently sitting in third in the timesheets, but 7th in the Pro GT4 category. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the standings, Finn. What do you think so far? It looks like it's getting pretty spicy.
It absolutely is. I remember we were talking at the end of last week. It was going to be a pretty serious race for a lot of our AM folks, as well as the top 5 people at the time for the GT4 Pro category. That's spread out a little bit, but there's still a tight run for a couple of positions. If people do really well or really poorly tonight, we could see some people going up and down the order respectively.
Indeed. So Scott extending, and then we've got that battle is still I don't know what you think. That battle still looks tight. I mean, we've got,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tanner Schiffner sitting at 166. But if you look
Yeah.
down to P8 with 2 drop rounds in consideration, Eduardo Zamora, actually even with Matt Pyle with 124 in 9th. The top 3, at least P2, P3 is not decided, not even close.
No, absolutely not. I think as we come down to the end of the rounds and we factor in those drop rounds, I'm guessing we'll probably see this bunch up tighter and then see some people move up and down as a result.
Indeed, it's going to be interesting for those GT4 Pro runners. So LMP3 category. So it looks like in the Pro category, we've got some. Oh, we're getting ready to go qualifying. Now, here's the thing that's going to be very different about this qualifying is because it is dark and we can only watch one car at a time. It's going to be interesting. So let's switch over to that race info real quick. Give people the heads up on some of the details about qualifying here at Long Beach. Well, not qualifying, but the race in general. Another 90-minute. And then we've got single competition yellow at the 20-minute mark. Fuel adjustments at 60% for LMP3 and 50% for GT4. I'm not sure what you feel about the restricted fuel tanks around a track like this one. I tend to think it adds a lot to the strategy, Finn. What do you think?
I do as well. I think it's I'm pretty universal in my thought of in terms of races like these where it's 90 minutes, it really helps to have a bit of a restriction there to build the ability for people to make fuel strategies that actually mean something, and it's not just a one-stopper somewhere in the 50-minute mark, and then I think it really invites a lot of strategic plays and a lot of thinking going into it on where you want to make your stops and when. I love it as well.
Indeed. So we got the leader in LMP3 Pro. I was talking before about how it looks like it is still tightening up for that third step of the podium in Pro with Gabe Chavez. We got Mark Hansen. So Gabe's got 161. Mark Hansen not out of it with 137. So I think there's still some racing to be decided there. Sam Wilson, Dylan Sauer within striking distance of Mark. So that could be interesting to see. But this man right here, 240 points so far. Actual perfect streak.
Yes.
It's wild.
It certainly is. I'm very curious to see what this, with the way multi-class seems to be shaping up for this race, if that is going to hold true or if chaos will strike more seriously than it has in recent races.
Yeah, with the darkness on the track, I feel like there is definitely an opportunity for those kinds of shenanigans to take effect. We were seeing it in free practice. The speed differential between the LMP3 and the GT4 round here is noticeable, and with the darkness on the track, it is very easy for you to meet like a stricken car around one of these blind corners. We saw that even with the race leader, or the points leader, Ethan Hamlett.
I definitely think it's going to be keep heads on a swivel throughout most of this race to keep an eye out for any sort of lights that are pointing the wrong direction and to give wide berths for all those. As we are seeing some times roll across our time.
116. Oof. Ethan is just getting right back to it, man. Just getting right back to it. We got some other times coming in. Actually, Scott's about to cross the line. Let's see if Scott comes across the line. He's going to jump in with a 24.6. So we are seeing him come in. Mr. Logan Branson, Wookie OH on Twitch TV. He's also been doing some streaming on Track Limits channel, and we really appreciate that. Part of the Track Limits community, and he's a pretty cool dude. Glad to see people chipping in at the community level. That's cool stuff.
It's one of the things I really love about this league as a whole is the community that surrounds it is so supportive. and so like willing to reach out after races and go, hey, sorry, I, jacked up this corner or messed up this section, and that respect for each other there is super cool to see, both on and off the track in the sets of wheelchairers.
And here is your boy Vincent. Getting ready to go into the hairpin. Finished another flyer. Currently sitting on a 17.63. About, I'd say, 5/10 off the pace of Jaden, who's sitting in P2. Let's see what Vincent can do.
We were seeing the times in
Okay.
practice being pretty tight. And I think that's what we're seeing out here now. It's getting a little faster. Jumping up a second there for LaRue.
Indeed. Gian Cardoso, Gabe Chavez, both about to come across the line. And then we're going to switch over to a couple of the GT4 runners that are about to finish flying laps. I'm looking at Jared Jones has got another one to do. So Gabe's going to jump up to P5 in the LMP3. Jared Jones right now currently hitting that back section of Long Beach right now, getting ready to go to the Tecate turn. Then short straight down Pine Avenue and Seaside Way. So qualifying around Long Beach, fan. What is... Well, I mean, the toughest part, I think, is probably the walls. I think that's definitely both figuratively and literally the toughest part is the wall. But that said, so you're qualifying for a street circuit. What sort of things are you focusing on as a driver?
I think it's really nailing the apexes in these, and with how tight this corner is, there's not a whole lot of runoff to utilize. So you have to make sure your apexes are, you're hitting them where you're supposed to be hitting them, not too early, not too late. Because you get too early, you're gonna have to sacrifice time to not hit that barrier on the exit. You can't no off track or nice curbing to kind of utilize. It is just wall. You'll be hit if you miss that. So I think it's the apex that I focus on the most when I'm hitting these corners on a street circuit, and the corner exit that I get as a result.
Indeed. For me, I think the big thing is that, one, I'm really big on like setting banking laps. Tommy's going to jump to P4 in GT4. Let's check in real quick with Chris Turner, who's heading down Seaside Way right now. We do have a couple people that I believe are still have yet to put down a lap. We've got Cody Gillespie, Corey Lobner, Dave Chamilio, and Matt Pyle.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see where they slot into their respective categories. And I'd say it's probably crucial. Probably pretty crucial for Cody to at least get a bank A lap, so that way he is able to put himself somewhere to get himself some good points and maybe climb up the order past either Brandon Potts or possibly even John Newman, if he does very well here.
Somebody we need to pay attention to today is this man right here, Christopher Blue, in the BMW. With Anthony Newman absent from this race, it does look like we might have a bit of a point shakeup depending on what kind of results Christopher Blue can convert for this race. So I think that's pretty exciting. Might have a change, but at the same time too, it's not determined. Chris has got some work on his hands. This is a tough track.
Absolutely. And I think theoretically, as long as he finishes in the top 10, he'll net some good points and maybe bump himself up the standings to the top 4 after this round. But to finish first, he must finish. So
yep.
I like what we talk about. Those walls, and we're probably going to catch a few of us out here this evening. It'll be interesting to see how that develops as we keep rolling along here to the end of qualifying.
Indeed. Chris has got a flyer that he's finishing out right now. Currently green in Sector 2. Samuel Wilson currently down on his sector times in 1, 2, and 3, sitting 10th at the back of the LMP3 field after getting upgraded to Pro. So Long Beach not really showing any love for Sam Wilson. But He's going to come across the line. I don't think he's going to upgrade his time or his position. Same probably deal with this man right here, and that's Mr. Robert Lewis, who's getting ready to enter the hairpin right now. Only green in Sector 3, but if he can get a good conversion, might see if we can get an upgrade time. No, he's aborting his lap, so that's going to be it for him. And Christopher Blue, we're talking about, probably not gonna set the world on fire with that lap time.
No.
And that's going to be qualifying, folks. So Hamlett at the top of the timesheets with that 16:08. That was a big one. 16:08 and 3, almost 4 tenths up on LaRue. So that's it's going to be interesting. But it looks like Vincent is going to be the closest person to take the fight to Ethan.
Absolutely. I think also looking at some of the practice times as well as they get underway, I think it'll also be interesting to see how they how close or far they are able to get from each other before that competition caution. And I think that'll also make it really really crucial to the second half of the race.
Indeed. Looking at these qualifying times for GT4, Finn, what sort of things are what sort of things are standing out for you?
I think Stephen Wallace once again putting a very fantastic pole lap. I think will be great for him to get him back in that points standing, because I know he fell down after being out last week, and I think so. Seeing that and hopefully him converting that to a good finish will be, I think, crucial for him. But I think that's the big one that stands out to me. The rest of that, the order there, Ryan Buchanan, Scott Fleming, Tommy Kogan, and William Lewis, rounding out our top 5, I think are all going to be people fighting for the other spots there on the podium. And then Scott, if he can, get ahead of Stephen Wallace, might be able to keep him behind Stephen Wallace behind Scott in the point standings.
Indeed. I think this race is kind of the turnaround moment for Stephen Wallace. It's kind of do or die time. He's pretty far back on the points in relation to Scott Fleming, but Long Beach is going to be tough for everyone out there. So it's going to be interesting to see how you shake things up. Did want to remind everybody in chat that while we're doing the race, if you want to try this out for the first time, follow along. We've got live timing for SDK. You can open that up in your web browser and see the data as both myself and Finn are looking at it. So that should be interesting. While people are loading that up, let's pop on over to those qualifying results for LMP3, because there's a different story to be told here in relation to recent weeks, and that is Vincent within 4/10 striking distance of Ethan Hamlett.
Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting, Finn.
I think so. I think especially as they get underway, I think it'll be interesting to see how close Vincent can keep up with Ethan. I think it'll be I think we finally found someone in this league that is able to make Ethan maybe sweat just a little bit with that, especially with the difference in practice is also something I'm looking at. Those times there for Vincent were being pretty consistently around that 116.223 that he ended up setting as his fastest lap there, 200ths faster than he did in qualifying. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be maybe for at least something to give Ethan, light a little more fire on his butt to keep that perfect, pole and victory win season that he's got going so far.
Indeed. So with that, let's talk about that qualifying order before we get to the grid. Ethan Hamlett, all pole positions, going to line up alongside Vincent LaRue in the 222. So Vincent alongside Ethan, front row start. That's going to be exciting. Ethan's really got a fight on his hands for a perfect record. Jaden Ledbetter, Chris Turner top AM time. Second row of the grid in the 9.50 for Chris. Going to take the fight to Jaden. Gian Cardoso and Gabe Chavez, third row of the grid in LMP3, with Peter Hutch lined up alongside Mr. 949 himself, Robert Lewis. Milo the First is going to bring up the last row of the grid alongside Samuel Wilson. That's going to be your LMP3 runners. In GT4, been looking at these times, but here's the grid lineup. Stephen Wallace, First row of the grid in GT4 alongside Ryan. You've said this differently than I have in the past. How do you pronounce Ryan's last name? Or how are you pronouncing it? I guess I should say. I think I did Beauchene, but I don't know if that's it.
I always want to say it's Buchanan. I don't know if it's absolutely that or not.
Okay.
I know I've had people to say it both ways. So
Yeah.
I lean on Buchanan, but it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be in all the same.
Hopefully Ryan will forgive us.
Yes.
Anyway, but Ryan, that is a good time alongside Steve Wallace on the front row of the grid. Scott Fleming and Tommy Kogan, second row of the grid. Tommy posting a pretty decent time, and I believe when it comes to the points, Tommy is really still trying to keep the fight alive. He's currently sitting in 7th and overall in the GT4 Pro category. Behind him, we got William Lewis and top AM runner in GT4. William posting a pretty good time. Only a second off the pace from Steve Wallace. That's really good for William Lewis. Jared Jones is going to line up alongside him, third row of the grid. Matt Pyle and Christopher Blue, fourth row of the grid. Christopher Blue is going to try and get some good points, take the fight to Anthony Newman. And then we've got Logan Branson, John Newman on the fifth row of the grid. I believe we have some more. Let's see if we can go back a little bit. Take these down. All right, cool. So, sixth row of the grid, we've got Dave Chimilio and Corey Lobner, who both decided not to post a time, and then Cody Gillespie in the very back of the field, P13 GT4 with no time posted. Those people, those guys might be thinking they might be playing some big brain strats. They might think that turn one could get log jammed. So maybe posting a time starting from the back. I don't know if we're going to have any pit starters, but turn one at Long Beach can get, well, actually, to be perfectly honest, sector one at Long Beach can get pretty dramatic on a first lap.
Yes, that it certainly can. I think it also really depends on how the LMP3s get underway. That impacts a lot of the GT4's initial couple laps. So obviously, any of those who spin or have that sort of thing, there's only the street course, so there's no off tracks for those guys, and it ends up bottlenecking that that log backup jam that you're talking about there. I do want to say that I think William Lewis is in pro category.
Interesting. Okay.
Looking at my
yes,
my GT4 standing,
fifth in pro category currently. Yeah. So William Lewis is going to post some good points if he can hang on to that position. And that opens up Christopher Blue really to shake things up in the AM category. So that's going to be exciting. But everybody's getting ready for that grid start. So what we should do is we should switch over to the grid start as well. Let's pull up that race info. Swap over to TV3 if I can, because I thought the camera angles from that one were just better. So I
think TV3 is a pretty good one. It's usually those close-ups of the nice one-car shots. So
okay, it looks like you're going to get you're going to be pulling double duty with those wave rounds.
I am guessing so.
So 23 runners here at Long Beach for the folks at home. Multi-class racing is back, round 5 at Long Beach. Myself, Whelp Cakes, and Finicini in the booth to get you through round 5, and we are going to be underway here in a moment. Is this a standing start?
No, it is not. It is a abbreviated pace car lap.
Okay. I was like, I saw the lights pop up ahead over the top of Ethan, and I was like, whoa.
Nope.
Oh no.
Pace car is there. It's just not in camera.
Let's get that track map pulled up, because I think we're going to need a lot of this information going forward for this race. It's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely.
To try and follow along as they are getting ready to go down Seaside Way. So Sector 3 complex they're getting ready to go through right now. I think this one is going to be one for the crowd at home to pay attention to, because that hairpin before Shoreline Drive, that is going to be big deal first lap. Anybody trying to do any kind of side-by-side shenanigans through that, it's just going to turn it. It's going to turn a bunch of cars into a pile of fencing garbage. So It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. So the run down to Shoreline Drive. Can Vincent get an inside line on Ethan Hamlett? We're about to find out. Oh man, here we go. Yeah, that is going to be interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and see if from the blimp cam. And he guns it. And actually, Ledbetter looks like he's going to try and make a challenge on the inside line of Vincent as they get ready to line up into turn one. Although Vincent actually had a really good start.
Vincent had a pretty solid start. I think he still got a little caught out by Ethan because Ethan is pulling away.
It does look like we do have a crash in GT4 in the back of the field, and Stephen Wallace actually gets to a cracking start on the front of his race. Sorry for the tower that is passing through the shot for the folks at home. But Stephen Wallace is going to make a good run of it. Ryan's hanging on tight, and Scott Fleming's going to just slot in behind. Going through the fountain section now with the GT4s. Let's check back in at TV3 with the LMP3s. We got Gabe Chavez. They're heading down Seaside Way right now. So Jaden Ledbetter could not capitalize. We're pretty much almost locked in qualifying order right now with Samuel Wilson and Paul Miles, the only LMP3s that are really duking it out for position right now.
I definitely think they really easy zippered up at the beginning. And given how much of this track they can only so much utilize at one time, it's been very much the qualifying run, and they're currently obviously letting the pace settle in for these first few laps. Give them a chance to find the rhythm and feel for their cars as they keep going.
So Gabe right now trying to capitalize on Gian Cardoso right now. Gian's hanging with Chris. And it looks like it's actually looking like a really clean first and second lap, if I'm honest.
We might have had Ethan hit the barrier.
Oh, interesting. Let's go check in on Mr. Ethan Hamlett's car.
What corner is that? It looked like he hit a tires, so I think he made it out pretty safely.
Although a car taking a hit in a car like this on a track like this, compromising any kind of handling performance for these LMP3s at Long Beach is going to be a pretty dramatic experience for anyone involved. Yeah, that's going to be how. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, especially given how close Vincent has gotten in the past lap, I would like to believe that it's definitely seems to be giving a little bit of issue to keep it going in the right direction.
So let's actually switch over to TV1. See if we can avoid some of those shots where we get the real estate kind of blocking the camera. William Lewis jumps to the pitch. That is unfortunate for William Lewis. Also, Peter Hutchings, he's currently at the back of the field as well. Not sure what happened there. I don't actually see a crash indicator for either one of them. No, well, I mean, you're not going to see an off-track indicator because off-track is the wall. But
yeah, you're not going to see one there.
But yeah, it's interesting. So William Lewis already hitting that fast repair. Oh, Christopher Blue, Logan Branson have crashed. Let's go see if we can find out what happened here.
Yeah, it was a very, very slow.
And it is showing the scenic camera from replay. I don't know why. I had it set to TV1. Let's try that again. Apologies, everyone. Oh, just interesting. They actually, oh, wow. And then the spin around. And that is, oh, man, and a bunch of GT4 runners sneaking through. And the problem is Christopher Blue is backwards, which is going to shuffle him to the back of the order. Now, he's got to try and get this car turned around real quick. And you can see how dark it gets immediately.
Yeah.
And
when you're the only one out there,
yeah,
you lose all that. And then you also want to make sure you don't take anybody else out by backing up.
Indeed, indeed. That is unfortunate. So That was pretty gnarly for Chris. Back into it, Ethan Hamlett right now getting a little sideways as he goes into Seaside Way. Ethan looks like he might be struggling a bit.
I think he is. I think he's pushing just a little. I see a couple of times where he's sliding on his exits. I don't know if it's the fuel load that he's used to having it loaded or something along that line, or the tires not fully locked in for him.
Indeed.
We are still only a couple laps in. I think the tires should be bad. It's going to be a mechanical grip.
I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing more crashing indicators than I anticipated for the first few laps here. Looks like we might have had a crash with Logan. So another crash. Let's see what happened here.
I don't think it is. I think he just managed to save it and uses some of that runoff to keep himself from crashing.
Ah,
It does look like he does come to a complete stop, so that's probably why it.
oh, I see. He caught the runoff area. Okay. Well, better safe than sorry. Definitely don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're going in for repairs, although we do have quick repairs on offer. So that's going to be interesting. So back to the action now. Gabe Chavez still trying to keep up with Gian Cardoso. Chris Turner actually getting shuffled to the back of the field. Not really sure what happened there. So I'm going to lock in on someone. Let's check in with Scott right now, because Scott's got to make some moves here. But Finn, so far we've got 5 laps in the books. What are your big takeaways for the opening portion of this race?
Like you were talking about at the beginning here, there's a lot of crash indicators on our timers, on our score sheets. It'll be interesting to see how much those calm down over the rest of the race. I think it's a lot of people buying for some early moves, creating some kind of dangerous situations. That looks like a Vincent.
Yep, we're going to go back in time and see what happened here.
Oh, man, all right.
Maybe, a GT4 got out in front right before they went into Seaside Way, and Ethan was locked. And Vincent able to go around the outside. Wow.
I feel like Vincent just pulled classic basketball pick and roll over there on the streets of Long Beach.
Yeah, Ethan's keeping him close, so I don't think this is I don't think this story's over, folks.
Absolutely.
This is Long Beach is already getting pretty spicy.
Given how tight.
Go ahead.
I was saying, given how tight this sector in this circuit is, it's going to be really hard for him to pass back in front of him if he plays his cards right for Vincent. Man. That's for PJ Hutch. We were having a restart.
Ugh. Staying on board with Ethan Hamlett for a minute right now, trying to see how things are shaking out with the battle with Vincent. Oh, and that is gonna. Oh, the traffic is just catching Ethan out.
I think he's been just getting real unlucky with this traffic.
And that is a common occurrence in these kinds of multi-class racing. It is traffic management is a big deal, and this kind of race in particular, on a circuit like Long Beach at night, seems like a pretty dramatic place for this to happen.
Absolutely. And having no real big way to cover from that is always a hard thing to, I think, kind of sit with when you're in the back, in the seat of the car, turning the laps. You're feeling in the short end of the traffic stick. It's not a fun experience.
Indeed. In GT4 now, Scott Fleming is chasing down Ryan in the 64 AMG. We have PJ Hutch is going to jump in after being out with a computer restart. Hats off to him for just you know, pulling some laps to get some points. We do also have Milo is in the pits. Not sure his timer is stopped. I can't tell if he's back on track or if he's out. He might actually be out.
I think he is out. I think he had an incident with Logan Branson a couple laps ago that resulted in both of them, or at least Milo ending up in
Oh man, Ethan kept getting caught out again. He's got 2 GT4s going into the exit of sector 3 out of the hairpin and down shoreline, and Vincent's having to navigate through the GT4 traffic as well. And he's coming up on the battle for the, what is that, P2 right now?
I believe.
Yeah.
Between Scott and Ryan. Yep, that'll be interesting to see how he can navigate that. Looks like he's got 4 doors. Not impacted their battle either.
Yeah, and the thing is that Ethan's getting stuck behind all of this as we're going into Sector 1, and that's a tough place to get it done, man, because when you go into Toyota and then you hit the fountain section, you're kind of like stuck behind those cars for a good chunk of time. Now he's got to try and navigate through the GT4s as he gets ready to go to the Tecate turn, and Scott Fleming, again, still trying to chase down Ryan and improve his position. Oh man, and now we're going into the right-hander along Seaside Way. Yep. And hats off to Ethan Hamlett. That was some good traffic navigation. 5 seconds down on Vincent, but man, this is why he's at the upper end of the field in LMP3 in the points.
I think it also just shows the ability to just raw experience of driving, knowing when to be patient, especially on tracks like these where like we've talked about, there's no runoffs. There's no real room to squeeze in someplace or another. You just have to be patient and then stick to your lines, and then be patient with the cars that are driving their own race and having their own battle right in front of you. It's big hats off to Ethan for navigating that and not impacting their ability to race each other and have that battle for P2 and really P2 through P4.
Indeed, this looks incredibly hectic right now. I am looking right now, and we are inside of 8 minutes to hitting that competition yellow, and I'm just seeing cars all over the place, and it's almost like the LMP3 field and the GT4 field have kind of like zippered together, and now they're just trying to sort themselves out, so to speak. Yeah, Gabe Chavez right now still in the fight for, what is that, P4 with Gian Cardoso. Sam Wilson actually making some moves up to 6th overall.
It's good running for Sam there. He started pretty far back. 10th, I think. Indeed.
Yeah, he's making some moves and going into the hairpin. Seeing the LMP3s, saw a bit of a shake on the exit. I think that might have been Sam Wilson that actually lost the back end on corner exit. Now Gabe's moving around the outside of Tommy Kogan as they get ready to go into the right-hander at turn 1, or excuse me, left-hander.
Definitely, like we were talking about, I think it is the LP3 field is catching the GT4s, and it's now this one big blob of cars trying to navigate each other. Meanwhile, I think sorry, I thought I thought about it. But you don't need that though. So,
oh man, somebody spun around. I believe that's Ryan.
Oh, yes.
Let's see what happened here. Going into the right-hander here.
Looks like it's a push, but
everything looks okay. And then there's just the smallest tap, and that is P6, or was P6. I think that was Sam Wilson that was involved. Let's see what happened here. Yeah. So he hit, there's contact, and then Sam Wilson's on the approach to Conte, and the back end just, I mean, good for him. At least the car was oriented correctly to get back on track. And Robert
I'd
Lewis
say
and Chris Turner move around Sam Wilson to move up into P6 and P7 respectively. Ryan drops all the way down to P6 in GT4. That is unfortunate for Ryan.
well, it'll definitely be a a crawl back, and plus we still have the caution, which I think will really benefit Ryan. And I think also Ethan to a lesser extent with all the traffic, bad luck with traffic. I think it'd be helpful for all those and then also as well as our couple of people who've had more serious incidents like Chris Blue. If he stays out, during the competition caution, he could definitely pick up a good number of places where he's spun, got spun, I should say, at the beginning of the race.
Indeed. So bigger storylines right now. Ethan Hamlett is currently almost 6 seconds back from Vincent. Vincent is pushing pretty hard right now, and they're trading fastest laps.
That they are, and they're both faster than they were in practice or the qualifying laps.
Indeed, it is game on. So competition yellow's inside of 5 minutes from now for the folks at home. We do have a competition yellow that's going to fire at the 20-minute mark. Once that happens, the field is going to basically stabilize behind the safety car. And then there's going to be a sequence of pit stops where the pits are open for the LMP3s and GT4s respectively. And there will be waiver rounds to get the field sorted into all LMP3, all GT4 order. So that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see if anybody's going to basically risk it for the biscuit and not take the pit stop on the competition yellow. Maybe take it before or maybe slightly after.
I want to say I would love to see if Chris Blue does or doesn't. Ooh, Jared Jones, by the way, has a beautiful save just a moment ago. But yes, I'd love to see if Chris Blue also chooses to not do that and risk it, like you're saying, and see if he can make up some spots there. So I think if he's able to, he'll have plenty of pace to kind of keep up with, I think, the rest of the field.
Indeed. I think this is the kind of race where alternate strategies, I think, are worth the effort. Not sure how many people came into mind with Plan B, but this is definitely where a track where you could do with a C, D, and E plan. I think, but
yeah, definitely at least a B, or C.
Scott Fleming up into P2 after the incident between Samuel Wilson and Ryan. Tommy Cogan's actually hanging with him. Let's ride on board with Tommy in the AMR. Scott has been dominant, as you know, in GT4. He seems like he is taken to the streets of Long Beach quite well. Only 7 seconds off the pace from Stephen Wallace, but we also know that Stephen is pretty quick in a GT4 car. So I'm interested to see how this storyline plays out. What are you, as we're getting ready to go in this competition yellow before you get pulled away, Finn? Like, what are your thoughts so far as we get ready to go in competition yellow?
I'm initially fascinated by the number of kind of spins we saw early on in the race, but as we've kind of settled down and the field spread out a little bit, it seemed to calm down, but there still seems to be nice, tense pockets of racing. You have this battle that we're watching follow along here between Tommy and Scott for P2 that Ryan was in up until he got himself spun by Sam Wilson. You have basically P6 to P5 to P9 or P8. So the last 4 cars in LP3, all in the pro category, are all battling for various positions. They're battling for position here. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops for them. Those are the two big kind of on-track battles I'd love to see where we see them after the competition caution, and seeing if Ethan has damage, will getting that repaired during the pit stop get him to be faster than Vincent currently is, because they've been trading fastest laps here, and Ethan's slowly eking out a a couple fast ones here. Will it be even faster? If he has no damage, doesn't have any of that stuff that he took from Tiger, even minimal, that will really solidify his race and, that battle there at the front of the field.
Indeed. I think for me, it's interesting because we've been watching Ethan and Vincent like swapping these fastest laps, but we've also been seeing that interval continue to grow. Oh, wow. That was ambitious. I'm not sure if did Sam not like it seemed like he just like turned in with the car alongside. Like,
yeah, I don't know if he didn't hear the call from the spotter or just wanted to force the move, but like definitely left no room there. We'll see it here on the replay, but it just seems like he just turns in. And
like the thing that I'm looking at is that like Robert Lewis really didn't have much he could do on the left because they were both approaching the apex of the wall. Like if he goes over to the left any further, he's just going to smash into the wall directly. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but that is definitely a huge crash.
Yeah, and I think it's perfect that they did that right as the competition caution came out. So they will be able to, I think, get back going with some fresh swap cars and get back into the fight. But that was definitely a bit of drama going into the competition caution here.
Indeed. So with the yellow flag out now, let's take a look because Vincent's going to have caught the safety car, and now the field's going to start to equalize behind it. And then we're going to have some sorting going on to figure out what the field is going to stabilize towards once we get to the end of the competition. Yeah, I think you're probably going to be needed, sir.
I certainly am. I'll see you in a moment.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Everybody, Finn Cini offering some really good driver analysis. Me, I'm just a guy who talks about cars. Oh, looks like there might have been a collision under safety car. Not sure what's going on there. This is just... Long Beach is just full of shenanigans right now. But, yeah. So 17 laps done. 22 minutes have elapsed in round number 5. Long Beach has been dramatic. Very dramatic. We've already started the wave rounds. It looks like William Lewis might be one of the first ones to get the wave around. Not sure how this field's going to sort themselves as cars get the wave around. It's a very tight circuit, so people have to, play it smart and know when to actually move around the cars that are moving in single file while we've got cars that are effectively allowed to race. Ethan's going into the pits. Vincent's going to stay out. So actually, the only person that's not gone into the pits from the front of the field is Vincent behind the safety car. So we got Ethan, Jaden, Gian, Gabe Chavez, Chris Turner into the pits. We've actually got a pretty big casualty list for this race so far. I think we've got 6 cars out already. 4 in LMP3 and 2 in GT4, I think. Or no, William Lewis is still going. It looks like Peter Hutchings is as well. But I believe Robert Lewis, Sam Wilson, Cody Gillespie, and Paul Miles already out of the race. After the pit stops, Ethan still in front of Jaden, and then we've got Gabe, Chris Turner, and Gian Cardoso to the back of the field after the pit stops. Gian had the longest stationary pit time of 24.2 seconds. The big winner in the pit stop battle is Chris Turner with a 15.42. Still got the field stabilizing. I'm guessing they're going to let the GT4s go in here in a minute, and that'll probably help with the wave around situation. Thank you all for joining us for round number 5 of Sports Car Series here from Track Limits Racing. Long Beach, 19 degrees on track, 85% humidity, clear skies, but we are at night. It is going to be a dark racetrack for the majority of it. Competition yellow is underway. The LMP3s have already kind of pulled the trigger, and still waiting for the GT4s to make a move. I want to call out that with this race, strategy is so important here. We've got a 60% fuel capacity limit for the LMP3s, and then the GT4s have 50%. Does look like Jared Jones is into the pits, Corey Lobner, Logan Branson. So the GT4 runners are heading into the pits right now. I think that's going to sort out the field, a good portion of the field. So Vincent staying out, looks like. So Vincent not really pulling the trigger on that pit stop. Wonder if he's going to go long, split the difference. But with that 60% capacity, he will have to stop at some point. Wondering if Gian also, the reason why he's sitting on 24.2, I wonder if he took tires. GT4 runners cycling out. Does look like Stephen Wallace is going to stay out in front. A 21.75 stationary pit stop time, and then a 35.52 for Scott Fleming. So what I think I'm seeing here with the GT4 runners is I'm seeing Stephen Wallace did not take tires. That's my guess, because the rest of the field punching in at above 35 seconds for a pit stop time, with the exception of Jared Jones with a 21.87, currently sitting in 6th in GT4 category. So Stephen Wallace, Scott Fleming, Tommy Cogan, Matt Pyle, Ryan upgraded to 5th, and Jared Jones in 6th as your top 6 in GT4. It does look like the LMP3s are stabilized. Not sure when we're going to go green. Thank everybody for joining us as we get close to the end. Wow, we got crashing under safety car. Wonder what happened here. Let's go take a look. Dean Lewis, Christopher Blue. They're both going around. I think they're trying to. Oh, I see what happened here. Oh, and then okay, just a tap. I think that was just a tap. But field is trying to get themselves sorted, and it does look like Gian Cardoso might have had a moment. What happened here? Maybe a little tap on the wall. Hopefully nothing too serious. Everything looks okay. Not sure what happened. Let's get the track map pulled up, because I think that's going to give us an idea of how the field is sorting out. It does look like we've got a couple cars still working to get stacked back up. want to thank everybody again for being here for round number 5. We will be back on November 9th for round 6, Rudskogen. That should be an interesting one. I think that might be my first race ever called at Rudskogen. It's going to be another 90-minute sprint. And then we've got round 7 on November 23rd. Another 90-minute, and then the series finale December 7th. We're going to go to Virginia. So round 7 at Sonoma, and then round 8 Virginia. Round 8 is going to be 2 hours. That's going to be an interesting one. I think we had a couple of 2-hour races previously in previous seasons, but this season I think it's going to be just the one for the series finale at Virginia International Raceway, which is going to be exciting. That's going to be it's going to be a fun one. Virginia International Raceway, very technical track. Interested to see how that one goes. Wave around still happening. 30 minutes, 42 seconds have elapsed here in round 5. Let's talk. It's like Wilson is in front. Sam Wilson is in front of the field. I don't really know how that happened. I don't know how Sam Wilson is in front of the safety car and in front of. Did he just like? Oh, I see. I see what happened. Whoa. William Lewis getting the wave around and having to navigate his way around that. Okay, so Samuel Wilson goes to the back of the LMP3 field. That makes more sense now. I was so confused there for a second. So with the restart coming, is Ethan Hamlett going to be able to take the fight to Vincent LaRue? Vincent is having a pretty good race. Ethan's got really good pace. Actually, both of them have really good pace. I mean, they're separated by 0.06 of a second in terms of like fastest lap pace. I think that's a pretty big. It's a pretty big thing to highlight here. We got 14 viewers in chat. Thanks for sticking with us through the competition yellow phase. Lots of cool people in the chat hanging out with us. Fife's in chat. We've got Draconis. Apex. Thank you guys for being here.
Snuck back in while you were thanking people.
Welcome back, sir. Looks like we might be getting ready to go green.
That is the plan. I believe it is next time by.
So Ethan, in terms of stationary time, Ethan 15.55. So I think with the if he did need to take repairs, it's really hard to tell from the state of affairs. But
there's also really fast repairs, so I don't think it's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
Here we go. Vincent controls the field. They're 2x2, and we go green. And immediately, people are jumping and jockeying, trying to get around. It does look like Ethan might have gotten caught out, and Jaden Ledbetter snuck out in front of him.
I think so.
This is big. This is a big thing. Vincent's going to go through, and everything seems to be okay. LMP3 field is stacking up. Let's go check in with the GT4s. They're green as they get ready to go into Toyota. Stephen Wallace still out in front. Scott Fleming locked in behind, and there's Tommy Kogan right in the background.
Keeping it real tight with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed, but Vincent did not take a pit stop at the competition car.
He did not. I'm kind of curious as to how that's going to play out.
I
Was he looking at the previous races and maybe gauging the competition yellow? He could do some big time fuel save.
I think so. I think his goal was to do some fuel saving if he hasn't done it already, and maybe either stretch us out into a one stop or have a pretty quick second stop regardless. We'll see how well that works out as he almost runs it into the barrier.
Oh man, that is going to be spicy if he does that sort of thing.
Nope, he kept it out of there, but it was definitely a little concerning for a brief moment there as a spectator.
Pulled on board with Ethan Hamlett as he's going down Shoreline Drive. You can see Vincent in the background just zipping away. Whoa, big moment there. Did you see the two wheels off the ground?
Oh man,
Ethan Hamlett just bicycling through Toyota.
These cars don't really like being unsettled like that, so it's always a little harrowing whenever you get those wheels off the ground for an extended period of time, and you're like, oh.
Not wrong at all. And man, it is wild. Tommy Cogan though. Tommy Cogan has his hands full right now because he's got Matt Pyle looming large, and it looks like the back end of that AMR does not look happy. It is slipping and sliding through some of these corners.
Between I'd say the tires cooling back down as they're getting back up to temperature, they're going to be a little slidey these first couple laps here for a lot of these cars, both GT4 and LMP3, if you're not too careful. And it definitely seems to be a still real tight battle in the LMP or the GT4 field, excuse me, between really Scott down to almost Ryan from where he was in F6.
Yeah, we jump back behind Matt to take a look at Jared Jones, who's hanging with Matt Pyle as they get ready to go in. Whoa. Looks like we might have another crash from Sam Wilson. Let's see what happened here. Going through Shoreline. Everything looks okay. Do we have another rear lockup? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, oh, man, that is unfortunate because that is going to be sideways, George Russell style, right into the wall. And that is going to be probably a fast repair or might even be race done for Sam Wilson.
I think it looks like it's going to be a race done. I don't think Sam's going to pull another of the spare cars that we have available to them out for the remainder of the sessions. We'll see if he returns, but it looks like he is putting the gloves up for the evening.
So right now, things I'm paying attention to that I think are a big deal. This man right here, Logan Branson, Wookie, either touching or getting a bit of scrapage on the apex there. Currently in the lead of the AM category.
Yeah.
Christopher Blue in second place, Corey Lobner in third.
It's a pretty tight battle between these three as well. But yeah, it's very cool. Logan's been very happy, graciously helping us out and streaming on the community channel for some time when we're not live here. So very cool to see him running out top of AM category. But he has his work cut out for him because Chris Blue and Corey Lobner both being behind him and fighting for the podium spots with him. We'll probably keep him honest for the rest of this race, and with how tight these tracks are, it's going to be good. I'm excited to see if Chris is able to find the speed that he had earlier on in the race to capitalize getting back onto the top of the podium for the AM category.
Indeed, and Chris Blue, we got to shout out to him for not putting the gloves up after getting spun in the fountain section at the start of the race. Inside the first 5 laps, going to the back of the field, pulling back up to P8 in overall for GT4 and P2 in AM category. It looks like he's going to take the fight to Logan on corner exit as they go down Seaside Way.
It looks like Logan had a much less safe corner exit than watch him get real close to each other.
Yeah.
A little concerned over here.
Yep.
No, much better corner exit there going onto the long straight.
Through the Firestone complex, Indy left-hander Wookie's going back into the pits. I wonder if he's going to do the longest of undercuts, and that's going to be interesting. Speaking of longest of undercuts, when is Vincent going to pit? Like, we are now almost 40 minutes into this race, and Ethan actually is right there. So if we get some nose cam action, there's Ethan as he is chasing down Vincent. They're going into Toyota now.
Absolutely. I definitely think that damage that he picked up early on in the race was hindering him just enough to where Vincent was faster than he was. But I think now that the cars have been fixed up, and Vincent's also working on less fuel with the same length tires. So it's entirely possible that car is getting way squirrelier than it has been earlier in the race, and Vincent's trying to keep spinning on him now that the fuel load is super tight.
Oh man, and they're getting ready to hit some GT4 traffic as they go into Seaside, and there it is, and look, glued together as we were getting ready to go into Firestone. Oh, showed him the nose. Oh man, that is brave. That is brave stuff, man. We've got ourselves a battle in LMP3 and more GT4 traffic as we hit the hairpin. I see Jared Jones now behind Corey. Or no, that's Dave Chamilio. Oh man, this is dramatic. Jared must have had a moment.
I think so.
Oh man, is he gonna get clear of it? Oh, Ethan gets clear of him just before Toyota. Hey, Chamilio almost sideways. Go ahead about Jared.
I was gonna say, no, Jared just got a little loose right after the fountain and spun around. Didn't impact anybody else in the race, but he's definitely working starting his recovery drive from here on out, I think.
Man, just touches the car, spins it back around. Oh man, he's middle of the road. Oh man, Christopher Blue, the fast hands on that man. Whoa. Saw his life flash before his eyes. Oh my goodness, man, that was wild. And boy, is this fight still going. GT4 cars impacting the LMP3 race. I mean, there's just nowhere to go.
No.
There's just nowhere to go. And these guys, oh man, we're going into the hairpin with this stuff. Oh, Ethan's got to be ready to chew through his steering wheel.
I would have to imagine, especially just because it feels like Ethan has had some of the worst luck in terms of the way that traffic has played out for these two here at the top of the field. Like, I think Ethan now has the pace to catch up and pass Vincent in the vacuum, but we're not racing in the vacuum. So I think he's going to have to absolutely maximize when and where he passes to, keep that gap close. It's a second right now. We've seen it much closer over the past few laps. I'm guessing we'll see it re-shimmy back down as they're both running about a second faster than they did in practice.
Man, and they're about to hit some more GT4 traffic as they get ready to go into Seaside. Gaggle of cars in front. Oh man, this is going to be wild. Let's look at it from Vincent's perspective. Jared Jones and David Chamilio crash. We're going to take a look at that here in a bit as they navigate through Firestone. And the traffic kind of works out this time, catches Vincent out a little bit, and Ethan sneaks back up. And now they're nose to tail again as they exit the hairpin. LMP3's moving to the inside around Matt Pyle. God, this is harrowing stuff. Harrowing stuff.
We'll take a quick look at that crash that we mentioned earlier while we were watching. Still riding along with Vincent.
Now this is going to be tough for Vincent and Ethan to navigate because this is a battle for P2 in GT4 between Tommy Kogan and Scott Fleming. Stephen Wallace again just punching in some massive times because he's now 5.5 seconds ahead of Scott Fleming.
Just no one has. I feel like in some of these races where Steven is available, it's just nobody is on the same page as he is in terms of time and the consistency across those times. Because his best is a 1:23.7. He's currently doing a 1:24.1, and still keeping it within 5 tenths of a second to his best time.
Checking in with the closest interval right now on track right now. Chris Turner in the 950, chasing down Gabe Chavez, going into IndyCar, or in the IndyCar left-hander, and hitting that hairpin and right on the gearbox of Gabe. Again, kind of the scenario we were talking about before with like Vincent and Ethan right now. These guys are going to be moving through this gaggle of GT4 cars as they get ready to go into turn one. First, they're going to have to get around, I think that is maybe Ryan, and then...
Yes.
And now they're going to hit the more GT4 cars as they go into the fountain section.
Matt Pyle in front of them to hang on as he watches headlights go past. I always feel way more like, I guess, nervous, anxious, that sense of like, I have to be, you really have to stick to your line in a GT4 with a slower class of car as these faster cats are zipping by you. So that way you aren't, the problem that kills their race or your own because of, abandoning your line to get out of the way. And if you both go the same direction, and you're both going to cause, an accident will occur.
It is getting close here. It's getting closer at the front. Ethan Hamlett catching back up to Vincent. GT4 is just kind of jumping out of the way.
Yeah.
This is crazy stuff, man. This is a wild race, and we still have yet to see that pit stop from Vincent. He has punched in almost 32 laps in this car, and last lap for him was a 15.7. So he's still got fuel in the tank to push. I'm just interested to see when he's going to pull the trigger on it.
It's got to be soon. I know we only have 60% fuel capacity, which is.
But we're halfway. we're more than halfway through the race.
Well, I would say if you're fuel saving.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it a one-stopper. That makes sense.
Indeed. Let's jump back into the battle for the lead. Oh, man. right on the gearbox. A very interesting hairpin for Vincent. Don't know if he kind of got bogged down. Maybe the traction control system turned into a dishwasher. But
I think that, and he just, like we were talking about at the beginning, or what I was saying about those apexes, I think if you, especially with that hairpin, if you get the apex just a little wrong, you end up maybe throwing yourself really wide open into the teammates and choke up a bunch as a result. And then the TC turns into a dishwasher, as you were saying. And it's just, you're sitting there waiting for the car to start driving again.
Man. Through the fountain section, I couldn't even see Ethan's headlights anymore. He was so close to the rear of Vincent's car. That was wild. So we're past the halfway mark. Vincent's tires look like they are dead. Like the rear end is sliding pretty much on every corner exit. Shows the nose as they get ready to go into the Firestone right-hander and now into the IndyCar left-hander before the hairpin, and Ethan is just waiting. And he clipped the inside. He clipped the inside, and it looked like Vincent might have touched the outside a little bit.
He touched the outside a little bit, and then he has dove into pit lane. So that pit stop you were finally waiting for has happened.
So Ethan Hamlett touches the wall on the inside. We saw him shake the wheel a little bit, probably just trying to determine if he's got damage or not. Let's ride on board and see if we can see any kind of weirdness in the car. Looks like he's navigating okay. What I'm waiting for is this exit here, and as he goes to Kate, steering wheel looks straight. He might be okay. He might have made it okay.
I think he definitely did. Especially because I'm watching where he hooked it. He hooked it just past the midsection. And so that rear end might have taken a little bit of damage. That arrow's probably going to be a little bit compromised, but I think it'll be more like it was last time. So,
Interesting.
given the number of fast repairs we have, I think we'll just take it next time he's in there and have another car ready to go for the rest of the race.
All right. Let's check back into the closest fight going on right here. Chris Turner, Gabe Chavez. So, all right, so stationary pit stop time for Vincent's a 26.73. That's kind of closer to what Gian was like. Whoa, is Vincent in the pits again? Vincent crashed? Oh, what happened here?
He got
roped. He goes in deep. And then it looks like William Lewis also goes in deep, and they come together. That is unfortunate. Can we take a look at it from Williams' angle? All right, so he's getting ready. He's coming down shoreline right now. So Vincent goes deep into Toyota, outbreaks himself, and yeah, the fronts are locked. He can't do anything.
Yeah, and I think Vincent was trying to also avoid some of that, but I think he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
That is unfortunate, man. Chris Turner still harassing Gabe Chavez. That could breathe life into Ethan Hamlett's race in a way that he wasn't expecting, because now Vincent's down in the middle of the GT4 field, just unlucky after doing what was probably like the most exciting front battle in LMP3 we've seen.
Certainly this season.
Yeah. So Vincent, man, he's still stationary. I don't know if he's got it. I don't know if he had a fast repair check or if he's calling it, but he's stationary for a minute 30.
The tow time on this track is very long, so it could be. It is probably still that tow time, given how close he was to pit out. He's still in the car, according to my time he's race. So likely, I think he's planning to go back out and finish against some points. Yeah,
Interesting.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Vincent. Also unfortunate for William Lewis, because I think if I'm understanding correctly, kind of what I saw is he had his eyes on an LMP3 that went deep into the corner, locked up and went deep, and then he locks up and goes deep himself, and they both just kind of like usher themselves into the wall. That's unfortunate.
And I think it was you can only communicate so much with the drivers in the race. I think it was a miscommunication on where cars were going to be at certain times, and I think in the rush to get back going again, the calls that were made there, I think, were maybe not perfect. But
yeah,
everyone, Vincent is back rolling again. Really sitting in P6 after all that.
Yep.
Spin from Logan in front of him. Keeps out of the wall.
Okay, timing and scoring was doing some weird stuff on my app. He was like in the middle of the GT4 field when I last looked. So it's good. It's good. He's back. He's back out on track. Or not? He's not back out on track yet. Or he is. He is. Okay. Yep. I see it ticking up now. I'm catching up. I can read. I promise. Matt Pyle is giving Tommy Kogan what for right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually right on board with Matt. Give the GT4 some onboard action.
Yeah. Now the battle for first has simmered down.
So man, let me tell you, dramatic Long Beach. Like Long Beach tends to deliver dramatic races, but this has been kind of nonstop. My brain's a little overheated.
I would have to agree with you. I definitely think there has been no stop to the storyline and the talks that what we're chatting about in this. There's no downtime I think we've had, where it's just nice and easy and everyone's following. There's always, something happening. somebody fighting for a pass here, fighting for a pass there. I think this is the calmest I've seen on the relative side of things. Only two sets of cars that are within hundredths of a second or tenths of a second of each other. This one that we're following on now between Matt and Tommy, and then also that Chris and Gabe Chavez race that we're looking at as well in the on the threes.
Yeah.
So definitely understand we are a little warm.
Yeah.
Brain space.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with everything.
It is crazy.
Oh
man, Matt.
Good.
Making some brave moves there. So Gian Cardoso in the LMP3 is diving into the pits, and that's going to kick off the LMP3 pits for, I'm thinking probably towards the end of this race, because we've only got less than 35 minutes left before this race is over. I'm not sure if Vincent's going to be able to get back around in time to unlap himself from Gian. I think he might be, or no, he is unlapped from Gian's perspective. He's now a minute 6 back from Gian, who's now out on track. So Vincent's definitely got his work cut out for him to try and make up some spots if he can. And we're going to keep our eyes on this fight and then maybe take an opportunity to bounce around. Let's get a gearbox shot. There's Chris in the background. And you guys can get a view from this camera and get an understanding of how narrow parts of this track can be here on the streets of Long Beach. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. As well as how bumpy this track can be. As it's a street circuit, it's not as smooth as most of the courses are here, but definitely something to keep in mind as well.
Does look like you got a good exit on Chris, and going into Firestone, got some GT4 traffic that might slow him down, bring him back kind of into the clutches.
Wait there from Gabe. Have to see how they.
Indeed. Does look like the battle between Matt and Tommy has kind of cooled down a little bit. About 1.2 seconds between them right now.
I have to imagine Chris in this situation. I think he's really waiting for the one mistake and a couple of bad exits to really capitalize. But I thought. Did you see Gabe bounce off the wall there?
I did. No,
okay.
No, that was not imagination for me. That was the real deal. Christopher Blue moving around. Is that Dave Chamilio? Christopher Blue having a decent recovery here, and now back at the top of the AM category. Oh no, that was Corey Lobner that he was moving around.
Yeah.
Looked like. So that was for position, and Christopher Blue in lead of AM. Whoa, look at that slide from Gabe Chavez on the exit of the hairpin.
Really pushing there. So I think I would have to imagine Chris is just waiting for the opportunity to capitalize on another slide like that. And, hopefully without, you always want to think about not at the cost of their full race, just enough to where you can maneuver and get a little ahead. Still slide.
Let's hit the button and move around the field a little bit and see what's what. Gian Cardoso moving through some GT4 traffic. Currently sitting in P5 in LMP3. He's got 2 AM category drivers in front of him. Actually, Gabe got upgraded to Pro, so I think actually Chris Turner and Gabe are racing outside of their respective classes at the moment, but that's going to put Gian Cardoso in 4th in Pro category.
I think both Chris and Gabe are now in Pro.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I believe that
Chris was still in. No, Chris Turner is P8 right now. be exciting. They are racing. That's cool. Back with the fight with Chris Turner, Gabe Chavez.
Relative is still starting to open up just a little bit. Not by much. I think it's definitely keeping an eye on the. I think Chris is playing safe at this point. How much is left? We still have one last round of pit stops, I believe, for them. So also trying to see.
So Gian Cardoso currently sitting about a minute 12 back from Chris Turner. Pit stops are going to come in. I think we're going to see a shuffle. It'll be interesting because with the pit lane travel time in the 20s, in terms of 20 seconds for stationary time, I believe we'll probably see around a minute for a pit lane stoppage of 20 seconds in the box or more. So I think Gian and Vincent could potentially leapfrog the battle with Gabe Chavez and Chris Turner, where they are relative to both Gian and Vincent. Well, actually, Vincent's would be effectively 2 minutes back from Chris Turner, so I don't think Vincent's got a shot at leapfrogging. But it does look like Gian does.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think Gian is, or Vincent will be able to get past the two of them. But I think Vincent may be racing the pair of them.
Yep. He'll be in the mix.
Yeah.
So the field really stretched out. This is kind of a typical thing for this kind of track. Seeing the field stretch out a little bit. I think the next thing we're going to have to do a check-in on is when we get to those pit stops.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be the big decider. Go ahead.
No, I was going to agree with you there and say it's going to be a big factor for.
It might end up bad, but also it might end up good if
you're finishing the race as we are just under the 30-minute time remaining.
Scorny with the follow. Thank you so much, Scorny15. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining the show. And for the folks at home that would like to maybe participate, be a part of the action, you should definitely check us out on SimGrid. That's the link to the Sports Car Series Championship. If you want to register, be a part of the action, feel free to check us out on there. Maybe follow the community. And also, if you want to be a part of the Discord. And while we're at it, while we're testing out our chat commands, I'll go ahead and post the live timing link as well if you want to follow along with me and Fennicini as we move into the back third of round 5 here at Long Beach. Ethan Hamlett getting a breath of fresh air with the gap that he's currently got right now to Jaden Ledbetter to the tune of 10 seconds. But man, that first half of the race, man, you got to tell Vincent he definitely made it interesting.
I will certainly pass him. I know he was really looking forward to tonight, so I know he's going to be a little bit heartbroken about the pit exit, but I think it'll be still well worth it, and especially given, I think it makes an interesting rest of the season. Both that Rudskogen, and the rest of the series. If that pace is really like it was this week, Hamill, I think, might be a little bit, starting to worry that he may not just be simply the fastest driver here.
Yeah. I think that's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to I think probably so. My next checkpoint on this, like Rudskogen's going to be wonderful to call a race for because I've never called a race at Rudskogen, but I'm really looking forward to Sonoma. Sears Point. That's my name for it because that's what I grew up calling it. And boy, that track holds a very warm place in my heart. So I'm going to be very excited when we take the sports car series to Sonoma.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to really all three of these for various different reasons. Like you said, I've never called a race at Rudskogen, so I'm super stoked for that. Sonoma, it's got such a staple on NASCAR seasons for so long that I grew up, also calling it Sears Point when it was called that. Before now it's Sonoma. It's still such a staple on American racing calendars, pretty much throughout a lot of big name series. So, and then finally, our season ender, the 2 hours of VIR, I think will be a very fun one, given how these classes are and the way multi-class runs around VIR.
Yeah, VIR going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me what you think about it, but I think it's going to be like kind of like a more grueling version of a track like Alton Park because of the nature of VIR and the fact that it is so narrow, road circuit, no runoff areas, and then also it's just got a pretty long lap to it.
Yeah, especially in this machine. I can't agree more. I think it'll be very similar to like this and pieces of Alton Park. The narrow roadway throughout a lot of the first and second sectors will make passing a real challenge for multi-class, and knowing when to pick those passing opportunities will be really big. We'll probably see, I'm going to guess, something similar to what we saw tonight, where it impacts various races, especially in the LP3 category. But I think there's the nice part about I really like about VIR is it has the sections, somewhat more like Alton Park, like you were saying, where it will open up and allow for some nice multi-class battles without impacting either one. It's just knowing when those start, when those end, that nice flow of the width of the track along with those super fast, high downforce, high speed sectors will make it a very, I think, enjoyable way to round out the season.
Indeed. Indeed. So we're going to go back a little bit, folks. Jaden Ledbetter's going into the pits. Ethan Hamlett also is taking a pit stop. Chris Turner getting the pass done on Gabe Chavez. That's going to upgrade him to third in the overall in LMP3. So Chris Turner getting moved done and actually moving pretty fast to get away. We're now up to 4 seconds. Oh, man, it is going to be tight for these cars as they go into Toyota. William Lewis currently in front of Scott Fleming. Jaden Ledbetter is going to come out of the pits after being stationary for 16.6, and he's going to merge behind Ethan Hamlett. So it's going to be interesting now with all these cars pulling their pit stops. Gian Cardoso, after both Chris Turner and Gabe Chavez executing their pits, currently 4.2 back. It's a big moment. Chris Turner stationary for 14.5 seconds. That's the fastest LMP3 pit stop tonight.
Oh, I'd say it's also the last one, so I'd say maybe really, I think, playing with the margin, I want to say, on that one. Or just the fuel saving earlier.
Yeah.
The last time in pit lane. Which I think was probably the same idea I think Vincent was originally going for before all the post-pit stop drama.
Indeed.
Finally pit stop.
Ethan Hamlett moving through the GT4 traffic right now. And then we've got Jaden Ledbetter doing kind of the same thing coming down Shoreline Drive right now, going into Toyota. Corey Lobner currently sitting in third in the AM category behind Dave Chimilio. Oh, is that Ethan?
That is an spin from Ethan.
That is a spin from Ethan, and he orients the car And that is, I believe, Jaden Ledbetter in the background. What's going on here? Was that just a slide, or did he touch the wall? Let's go take a look at it again.
I think he just slid. He put too much power down too quickly on the exit of this corner up ahead, and just gets a little loose and slides it out.
On the exit of the right-hander before Tecate, and yeah. Very interesting. Man, now a half-second battle between Ethan Hamlett and Jaden Ledbetter. Pace differential between these two. Actually, Jaden's been bringing the times down. Jaden's fastest laps of 15.8.
Absolutely, only a tenth of a second, just shy of a tenth of a second slower. So, if you're able to keep it consistent, it's entirely possible. But it's really about that consistency at that point for Jaden. Even close, and can consistently walk.
Ethan just barely misses the wall. Man, these guys are playing with some margins.
They certainly are.
Man, this is wild stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We've got less than 20 minutes here in round 5. 50 laps have elapsed here at Long Beach. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff.
Most I've seen Ethan sweat in a race. He's working for it tonight, so
and Jaden's keeping him honest. Jaden is keeping him honest. Gabe Chavez has crashed. What happened here? We're gonna keep on this fight. We'll go back and take a peek here in a sec.
Yeah.
It does look like Gabe is still moving, so might have just been a wall touch. Might have gone a little deep and then recover.
I'm thinking it's a slide, but I'll
Yeah.
look here while we're still focused with Ethan and Jaden.
The other thing we didn't think about is Ethan carrying any rear end damage from that contact with the hairpin?
I want to say that he probably.
Go ahead.
I was saying, I want to say he probably would have gotten that fixed up with the pit stop he took on 46.
Indeed. Oh man, the rear end of that car is not happy though. He is having some interesting movements going into corner entry. He locked up in sector 1 and almost carried the car into the wall. Oh, Jaden just touched the wall on corner exit down Seaside Way. Rear left touched the wall ever so slightly. These two are pushing, and they are taking all the risks right now. Given the fact they're running on 16-second pit stops as well, I believe. Oh, there was a bit of a touch.
A little bit of love tap.
A little bit of a love tap with 16-second stationary pit stops. These guys are on used tires.
I would have to imagine. They are probably on either their set they picked up at the caution, or the set they started out with, which I think probably pretty seriously might have if that's the case.
Steve Wallace pumping in a fastest lap of a 23.7. Steve Wallace just doing things. We're going to go back and check in on it. We got this fight going on. We're going to keep an eye on the relative. But this man right here, Steve Wallace, the Virginia native, in the Buc-ee's AMG, just pumping out laps right now. Not almost 10 seconds. And yeah. What else can you say about Steven? Like
I'd say somebody who's incredibly been, just Mr. Consistent the entire way down. Has been Stephen Wallace throughout this entirety of the race. Handling traffic extremely well as they've been racing. When you're that consistent, and there's nobody in the near 10 seconds back is Scott Fleming. I think we're kind of riding along with here for the moment.
Chris Turner giving me sweats over here as he's going down the right-hander onto Seaside Way, and man, they were just side by side going through that corner with the GT4 car. It's dramatic stuff.
Chris is trying to keep the 14-second gap that he's got over Gabe as open as he can, and if he's lucky, maybe close in on P1 and P2.
I mean, in terms of pace, man, he is like having some pretty bad laps with the traffic, but in terms of when he unlocks the pace, he can probably gap Gabe pretty easily. But traffic for everybody that's not the front runners right now is really kind of the thing that is the tail of the tape with the last phase of this race.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be the thing that keeps, I think it's also the thing that really makes or breaks a couple of these final few minutes of racing is that, is traffic and managing it. And if they, aren't able to manage it successfully, like we saw in practice, it's entirely possible we'll see, another unfortunate accident kind of like we saw with Vincent after the pit stop.
Indeed. Vincent, by the way, hanging in there currently a minute 2 back from Gian Cardoso. Looks like he's going to take it to the checkers to get some points. Ethan Hamlett still trying to pull away from Jaden Ledbetter. The gap has opened up a little bit, but navigating this GT4 traffic cannot be, you cannot take the situation lightly. Matt Pyle finding his way around Dave Chimilio, and they're still racing. Matt Pyle actually trying to catch back up to Tommy Kogan, currently 3.3 back.
I think Tommy's found some more of that pace in the car. Got through the later section of this race. So I remember being Matt Pyle really trying to push.
He is. Man. And there's some LMP3s mixed in here as well. I can't see who that is. I'm not sure if that's Ethan. That might be Ethan.
Gabe, I believe. According to my timer.
Oh, yeah. That's Gabe Chavez. I saw the red part of the nose, and I was like, oh, is that Ethan having to navigate this too?
Nope. It's Gabe, and it's still an LMP3, trying to find those things like we were talking about. It's the thing that's, I think, causing a little bit of that heartbreak for them in the closing stages here.
Indeed. Less than 15 minutes, and Jaden Ledbetter's running out of corners. That gap has grown to 2.5 seconds.
Rough lap. Couple laps. Ethan, just a lap ago, set the fastest lap of the race. So.
I know, man. A 15:08. Like, can this man break into the 14s? I mean, come on. This is nuts. The pace is nuts. But yeah, let's talk real quick because the field. Oh, Jaden Ledbetter's in the wall. What happened here?
For a moment,
Going in.
Driving now.
Going into IndyCar. Did he clip the hairpin? Is that what happened?
The outside.
Oh, I see. Yep. Managed to save it though. Managed to save it. And Ethan is like, do you guys say 14s? How about a 15:06? I'm getting close. He's getting close.
He is certainly getting closer.
Man, this is wild stuff. Anyway, while we are in the closing phase of this race, it's really going to, I think, come down to traffic. Like, how is traffic going to catch anybody out? But while we're here, Finn, taking a look, we do not have a single AM LMP3 car to finish this race.
Is it Gian?
It's still showing him as pro. So Gian is the lone AM right now.
Yes.
And we got pros in the LMP3, Ethan Hamlett, Jaden Ledbetter, Chris Turner are podium sitters right now. In GT4, Stephen Wallace, Scott Fleming, Tommy Kogan. With AM category, Christopher Blue, and he's ahead of Dave Chimilio and Corey Lobner in GT4 AM. Yeah.
I think the big one there for Chris to be in front of is Corey Lobner, because Corey Lobner is in fourth in the game. Sean Sullivan is one of the many people that were unfortunately busy with life things as we are.
Yep.
So with Corey Laubner looking to get onto the podium, Chris Blue going behind to keep ahead of him on the podium, and is managing to do so pretty well if he can close out this race on the podium, on the top step of the podium for AM category.
Indeed. It is pretty crazy right now in these closing stages. That gap keeps fluctuating. It was 2.5 seconds. Now it's down to 1.5 seconds. I think the traffic is what is catching Ethan out right now. He's going through the IndyCar left-hander side by side with a GT4. Oh God, man, Jaden is right there too.
Yep.
The GT4 is just like, What, man, this is wild stuff here in the closing phases. Less than 10 minutes. So Finn, home stretch, less than 10 minutes. Race at the front of the field down to 1.2 with GT4 traffic still looming in the foreground for these guys. In fact, a lot. There's not, like, he's going to clear, who is this in front? The number 12, so he's going to clear...
Yeah,
Matt Pyle, and then he's still got a gaggle that are just now getting ready to go down Seaside right now. So it is not over. Your thoughts on this race so far in the closing stages?
It's been, I think there's not been a calm moment for anybody in the race until maybe right now. Like, the first time I've seen our relative board not have some sort of red indicating, that 1 second gap, that half a second gap, somewhere along this border for all these cars. It's been absolute chaos from the broadcasting booth's perspective, but it's also been, I think, really keeping everybody honest, especially when we talk about the early stages of this, and in beginning before the race with the walls and everything. There's no room for error, and I think everybody's showing their true pace in this place because that's what you have to do.
Indeed, man, and I'm going to say this: started with 23 cars, only lost 5. I'm actually thinking that number is a little lower than I expected. I thought attrition would be higher than that. I was expecting, closer to like a third. But yeah, people just staying with it, trying to get the points. But this guy right here, Ethan Hamlett, he's got to be breathing a sigh of relief right now. Although, the race is not over. He's still got Jaden Ledbetter chasing him down for 2 seconds. But I think Ethan definitely thought that the second half of this race was going to be a different story.
I definitely think so as well. I think Ethan really breathed a sigh of relief, here in probably that spotter call. Number 222, Vincent was in the pit lane again. Here, just watching him pit in right before. So I think that was the first sigh of relief, and then given kind of some of the spins and stuff that he's had as a result, it's, he's finally starting to, all right, we're wrapping this race up. We're going to finish if we want. Let's relax. But it's not over yet.
It is, man, I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to need like a cold shower after this race. Because it's been nonstop. And with the field stretched out the way that it is right now, Jaden Ledbetter is 3 seconds back. The thing that we're noticing is because of the traffic and the close nature of the circuit, the field can just compress like that, and it is nuts. Because even with GT4, even with lapped cars and stuff like that, they're just so close together.
It all takes is like a couple of those slow corners that we're coming up to here for Ethan to really bunch up and lose about half-second time being stuck behind him. There's so many opportunities where that compression you're talking about just happens in the blink of an eye, and suddenly the car that was 3 seconds back is now a second and a half, or half a second.
We got less than 6 minutes here. Ryan, currently sitting in P5 overall, going to be bringing home a good haul of points, especially after early incidents in the front stint of the race. Stephen Wallace, Jaden Ledbetter, Jared Jones, just a weird GT4 LMP3 sandwich. It's definitely on the Subway menu here at Long Beach. The GT4 LMP3 sandwich, because we still have a sizable field of GT4 cars. We've only lost one GT4 car.
Yes.
This entire race.
And I think that's one of another testament. Like I've been kind of ranting about it this week with everybody, but I love the consistency and willingness to finish racing.
Yeah.
That I see from so many people here. And, you're talking about you're expecting it to be higher. I'm really thrilled that we've only lost 5 and everybody else is finished now. And I think the things like the fast repairs, stuff of that nature really help, bring people back into the fold if they have a really bad accident early on in the race before they come to a caution, but also after it. You have 3 people all on the same lap, 2 laps down from in the GT4 category that are all racing for overall position. So I think it's still very cool to see, and
So Corey Lobner here, looming in the background. The car that's in front of this gaggle of GT4s, that is Dave Chimilio, and they're racing for position. So, closing phases of this race, we might have ourselves a little race for a step improvement on the amateur GT4 podium.
Mm-hmm.
It is not over. Matt Pyle trying to get around Dave Chimilio on the inside as they get ready to go into Toyota.
graciously.
Yeah. It's tough. And see, with Matt Pyle right now, where is Ryan? So Ryan, actually, no, that was Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Going around. And Ryan currently out in front of Christopher Blue to the tune of 4 seconds. Corey is just really pushing right now. 25.29 last lap to Dave Chimilio's 26. So almost a half second.
Almost a full second.
Almost a full second, yeah. Yep, and Ethan Hamlett goes into the 14s with a 14.76. My goodness. This race is wild.
Absolutely.
It has been definitely one for the memory banks for me. I always know that Long Beach delivers. Man, this is definitely one of the staples here in the States for a street circuit. It's just the kind of racing you just can't you just don't get in a lot of places. It's wild. Let's so we're on board with Corey Lobner. Let's ride this for a little bit. There's Dave Chimilio.
Right in front of him.
Yep.
Oh. Real close to the walls.
Yep. I thought I saw a little bit of an inside clip from Chimilio in the fountain section.
He managed to keep it out of that wall, but I was worried that was where he was also recorded. Corey is super applying the pressure here. And is looking for that mistake from Dave to get around it.
Stephen Wallace with the fastest lap going into the 23.4s.
Whole almost second faster than Scott Fleming's fastest lap. There's like a tenth, 9/10 of a second faster for Stephen than Scott. Wild.
Oh, downshifting early. Oh, and Dave Chimilio and Corey Lobner both clipped the inside. I don't think they touched. I think they just both caught the inside. And unfortunately, Corey is stuck in a very weird spot.
Yeah. Very safe.
Yep. Looks like Ethan Hamlett might have navigated through that situation. Jaden Ledbetter going through now as well. Currently 7 seconds back. Boy, did that shift the nature of everything there at the end. Holy cow! And this has got to be, I think, white flag for Ethan.
I believe so.
Yeah, he's going into Tecate right now, and man, that was a wild end. We might need to go back and take a look at that crash.
Between Corey and Dave.
Yeah, I kind of want to see what happened there. Let's go see. I really don't think they touched. I just think they. So there goes Corey. So Dave clips the inside, goes bicycle. So does Corey, but then gets the assist from the LMP3. I believe that was Gabe Chavez. Wild stuff, man.
Another GT4, I think, wrapped into that, but.
And getting the finish, there he is. Ethan Hamlett getting the most dramatic race of his season. Jaden Ledbetter's going to come across the line in second, and we got a little bit of time before Chris Turner comes across the line. But I do believe we're going to get Stephen Wallace. No, Stephen Wallace is currently on the backstretch right now. But Ryan Christopher Blue is going to take the top spot in AM category with, I believe, Dave Chamilio and Corey Lobner still going to finish on the podium. But this man right here, Stephen Wallace, who has not put a foot wrong, kind of going to be the driver of the day for me. Didn't get a lot of screen time because, to be honest, he was running his own race.
I think he was. He was definitely in his own kind of league, and especially with looking at those best lap times and how far it was from the rest of the field. Definitely somebody who was very comfortable with Long Beach and the pace he needed to set there to be both competitive and fast.
Indeed.
I would have to agree as well. I would say also, while unfortunate, I think Vincent might be my other one. Maybe I'm a little biased, so I shouldn't say that. Never mind.
No, you're perfectly allowed to do that. There's we're not pros. Nobody's signed any kind of contracts. I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh man, this is rigged.
Yeah, no. But I think absolutely, given the nature of how the season has gone up until this point, seeing that that fight really get taken to Ethan, both by him and then later Jaden, like great stuff at the top of the LMP3 field.
Indeed, man. That was a wild one. That was a very, very wild race. Let's go ahead. Dump John next to the last lap. Oh, I see. Oh, he said he was going to go in for the 14s. Unfortunate. Unfortunate, sir. Let's go to those race results, though, and take a look at the tail of the tape here as round 5 comes to a close. Ethan Hamlett has the most dramatic race of his season by a mile, but still manages to eke out a win 6.7 seconds ahead of Jaden Ledbetter, who's going to finish second on the podium. Chris Turner in pro category right now. That A means nothing. Third in the pro category, and the only AM to finish the race, Gian Cardoso.
Sorry.
With the 5th place finish. Yeah, that was just a tough one. And LMP3s, I think they had the toughest bit by far.
I think so.
But let's go over to those GT4 runners now. Stephen Wallace, Scott Fleming, Tommy Cogan, pro category podium right there. Stephen Wallace is going to be back in the limelight, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Fleming, I think, is going to be happy with the 2nd place finish. That's just going to build on his points total.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big deal for him. Chris Blue, AM points leader now. I think will be official after this race in the lead of the AM category in front of Dave Chamilio and Corey Lobner, who had a dramatic end, but it doesn't look like it compromised too much of their points haul for this race. Finn, where do we start?
Oh man, There's so many places we could start. I guess the question is, which like, what sticks out in your mind? I'm gonna throw this back to you, um, as like the biggest takeaway that's sticking in your brain. Because I'm still sifting through my everything that happened.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, when it comes to like events that shape the race, there's too many to sort through, if I'm honest. But the ones that are going to bubble up to the surface for me is that. So in terms of the points, the season might be kind of done for Ethan Hamlett. Like I think at this point, I'm going to be stunned if mathematically he can somehow not eke it out, because he's going to get. Well, no, he's got to have another good finish for one more race, I think, because we're going to have 2 drop rounds. And I think he might actually already have one. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have any drops recorded. So he's got to get one more good race. And then he's got to, he cannot scratch 3 races in a row. He's got to have good results for at least one of the remaining 3 races to really seal it on Jaden. But what's the story point for me? Can you please have Vincent be in the last 3 rounds? Because my God, was that exciting!
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's going to be the storyline that I'm going to come away from this race with.
I would have to agree. That's the one that sticks with me. As I'm starting to sift, the thing that I think lasts on the top is that race between the 2 of them for the first, really up until Vincent makes that pit stop, and the unfortunate incident with William Lewis. That kind of ends his lead ahead of Ethan. I think it would have been incredibly interesting to see the difference between the 2 of them in kind of their own racing until Ethan makes that second pit stop and falls back in line with Vincent for that end. I think the race would have been very different without that. So, yeah, I think I agree with you there. I will do my best. I know he is a man that enjoys this kind of racing. I think he will be back. I can't promise you, but I can do my best to make sure he comes back. I think, up until that point, I think he was having a fantastic race, and I think afterwards he's always too. But I digress.
Indeed, man. To me that was just wild. And the other thing that I'm gonna pull out of that storyline as well, and I actually am kind of wondering if that might be the bigger point here to take away from. Vincent showed us that with this format, there are options for strategy, because he looked like he was going to make that one stopper actually work. And that was kind of the thing that kind of like floored me for a moment. Because this is kind of like the legend of Ethan Hamlett at Long Beach thing all over again, where it's just like out of nowhere, someone pulls this strategy and kind of turns the race on its head. Unfortunately, this time we didn't get to see it play out and see how the action would have unfolded. But I'm kind of wondering now if at Sonoma, because Sonoma is kind of the track that sticks out to me as knowing the most, is the one-stop strategy possible? Because it's going to be a quicker lap than Long Beach. That'll be interesting. What are your thoughts?
I think if Vincent did it here, I think it's possible, but I think it would be a little bit harder given there is more time. I feel like you're on the throttle there over the course of the laps. While it's a shorter lap, it's you're spending more time putting gas into the car to make it go with that throttle. It'd be interesting to see. I wonder if you'd be able to pull it off. I am thrilled, and I think from what I saw on the races we were watching it unfold, I don't think Vincent went back into the pits after he got the car repaired and back underway. So I think he was successful in that one stop, and I think it's possible. I think it can be done with a proper amount of fuel saving here. Whether or not he can repeat that, and if he actually ends up saving enough time to make it worthwhile with that fuel saving, is I think the better question for Sonoma.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to find out. Let's talk about GT4s. Big moments for you from this race?
Oh man, I feel like there's a ton. I want to say that, like, that last one between Dave and Corey, I think I feel like we've seen a couple of these, and I feel like there's just like this heartbreak of falling just a moment short,
Mhm.
for both Corey and for Vincent, and I think also probably for Ryan. As I'm looking through this roster here,
Yeah.
of moments that, small moments that have these big impacts.
Yeah.
That I think I would say that it's always heartbreaking when you watch, all that work you've been putting towards, and when you're really, putting pressure on, like Corey was at the end on Dave, to not be able to capitalize on it due to, basically watching both of them make the same mistake. So it was, yeah.
It's pretty wild.
What about you? What is your biggest takeaway from these guys?
I mean, the biggest takeaway that I've got is so Stephen Wallace was running his own race.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like my driver of the day in terms of like just did it, just checked all the boxes. Just did
Okay.
absolute, like normally that's like oh, what driver checked all the boxes in a race on any given Saturday? Ethan Hamlett. Okay, no question. Move on. But this time, like Stephen Wallace kind of like really, I'm not going to say he put on a show because we didn't have him on camera that often because he was just running his own thing, but he checked all the boxes. He hit every mark that he needed to. I never saw him on the relative under any kind of risk. I never saw any data in the events on track that really called him out. Just did his own thing. But the part for me that's also a big storyline here, that battle, I say battle, you take a look at the relatives, it kind of doesn't tell the whole story. Scott Fleming down to Matt Pyle.
Oh yeah.
Dealing with the traffic. Like those three didn't really swap position pretty much after the competition yellow for the rest of the race. It was kind of wild to watch them kind of like hold that position with everything that was going on around them.
Certainly, and all the LMP3s that were cutting in between, that race that they were having. But I think it really, solidifies the consistency between all four. And then I would also throw in there, Ryan and Jared. I think also were really, on point, heads on a swivel, up until a couple of those brief moments, which is all it takes, and they had their own spins. But I feel like all five of them were in that for a long while, and then down to the three, Scott, Tommy, and Matt, really battling for those podium steps, and just having to be locked in even with all that traffic, navigating around them.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Beautiful racecraft from the three of those.
Yeah. Jaden in chat wondering if Tommy's finally hitting his stride. I think so. Well, I mean, I to be honest, you take a look at the points right now, and you tell me what you think about this, Finn. But you take a look at the points right now, and I don't really think that Tommy hasn't really been off his stride. It's just that GT4 Pro is stacked.
Absolutely.
It's just a stacked field right now, and when you've got drivers that are really putting things together, you look at a 136 from Tommy, and you're like, "What's going on?" But I mean, like, Tanner's not here. He was sitting on 166. Jared was here. He's sitting on 156. It's just really close right now. And yeah. I think I'm really excited to see how the last three rounds wind up for the pro category in GT4. Because to be honest, I think that's probably going to be, in my opinion, like, I really don't feel like the last three races are really going to change my mind. But GT4 Pro is probably the category of the season for me, because it's just been a boxing match for like 7 or 8 drivers, or excuse me, almost 9 drivers the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the numbers, and you have all these drivers with different finish positions that ends up making them all just, it's a slugfest of everybody, taking punches, giving punches. And, I think as we round out the season, I have to agree with you. I'd also throw in, to a slightly lesser extent, but still an important extent, the GT4 AM category. I think both of these will be very fun to see throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Not to say I won't enjoy any of the LMP3 driving. I think that's also super fun to see. And I think it's going to be more interesting as we watch Vincent continue to take the fight to Ethan up there at the front of the grid. I think that's the storylines I want to keep watching for the rest of this season are probably a little more geared towards that GT4 category.
Indeed. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out Long Beach. And I'm going to go, like, I don't know if I'm going to go play with a Zen garden or, you know, take a cold shower, but I'm going to need something to flush my head of what I've just witnessed. Because I've got smoke coming out of my ears. But yeah, Finn, I thought this was a banger of a race, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you in the booth, and I'm really looking forward to Rudskogen.
I am absolutely looking forward to Rudskogen as well. I think it's a pleasure to be here as always. Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great. This Long Beach never fails to deliver in my book, so it's gonna be a good one, and it's gonna keep being a good one. I think for the rest of the season.
Indeed. Let's. I'm gonna go take a quick peek. I'm gonna take a peek at iRacing real quick, just to see if there's anybody out there doing fun stuff that we can go raid. I mean, you've always got the popular kids, but I really like sending it on somebody who's doing something fun. So let's see who we've got here. If somebody's got Crash in their name, that's a winner.
Yep, that sounds good.
That's a winner right there. Can we all stick around as we get ready to raid Mr. Cap? Or excuse me, I said Mr. I was gonna say Mr. Captain because two prefixes makes a lot of sense, right? But back with the new GPU, we're gonna take a look at Captain Crash TV here in a second. Be sure and stick around for the transition. But this was a lot of fun, and thank you all so much for being a part of the action. Until we get back next, November 9th for Rudskogen. Until then, stay safe out there. Everyone at Track Limits says, see you later, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a good night.